Having received 25 aye votes, 22 nay votes, I declare House Bill 3393 to have passed.
Well, I think what's exciting about this is that Governor Henry and a bipartisan group of legislators realize that the current system for providing education for special needs kids doesn't really work like everybody hopes it would. And to have that kind of support to create a new option, a public finance scholarship option for these families, to me is exciting. The other thing that I wasn't aware of until recently is that we're the sixth state to have a program like this, and the only state to do anything like this year. So it really sets Oklahoma apart as a state that's progressive and thoughtful about our approach to providing these programs. So I'm grateful to the governor for signing the bill, and to my colleagues for supporting it when it came up for a vote. What happens is now you've got an IEP process where they develop a program for education with the parents and the school working together. The problem with that is when you get down to the essence of what the IEP process is, it's really a negotiation for the value of that child. The parents are negotiating, trying to establish that this child has value and worth to society, and that school should invest in that child. And that's, when you think about it, is just a completely bizarre process. So for these families now, if they're on that initial IEP and they're unhappy, they can just say, write me a check, I want the scholarship. My child's going to go to this private school over here that maybe set up better or has more specialized therapies or has a proven track record of helping these kind of kids. It just gives them the freedom to move over there without having to go through due process and go through the courts, which is really their only option at this point. So it ends up saving the state money and hassle, not having to fool with the legal aspects of all of this, and frees the families up just to do what's in the best interest of their child without going through the same hassle and legal bureaucracy that we have established right now as the process. And so I think we're going to start to see better results with these kids, better outcomes, and to the extent we can educate these kids appropriately, they become productive citizens. They're not on public assistance for the rest of their life, or maybe not to the level they would be. So it really is something that has impact immediately, but also benefits the state in the long run. That's what makes it so exciting.
House Bill 3393 was a good bill for many reasons. I have several families in my district that asked me to support this legislation, families that have children with special needs, families that have felt like that there just weren't a variety of opportunities available for the education of their children. I educated myself to learn that, especially when there are families that are confronted with finding the right educational fit for their child, when their child has special needs, having as many options available is the best thing for the parent. Not all kids learn the same, and definitely kids that have special needs have different ways and different approaches, and I want to see every child strive, and I think giving the parents as many choices as possible is what we're trying to accomplish with this piece of legislation. And I have a young cousin who I've watched from an intimate perspective, watched the parents who are well in the middle class struggle every day with even the public school system. And that family is a family that understands the process. So I really started to think, what happens when you're a parent who doesn't have resources, not connected, not able to really be able to review and have available for them all options that are on the table. I figured that family probably suffers. That family probably is relegated in a way that is not fair. And so I thought this bill would give that child, as well as even my family member, options. And as many options as we can have available, I think the better our families, the better our children, the better our educational system.
Well, the bottom line is it gives families options. Public school is not the enemy. It just doesn't meet all the students' needs all the time. My daughter graduated this year, and had I had this option a few years ago, she might have made more progress than what she has already. Well, she has autism, she's nonverbal, she's blind, and then she has a whole gamut of medical complications that have to be monitored on a regular basis. Well, first of all, she was in the public school from the time she was 3 years old, and she graduated at the age of 21. So she was in the public school system for 18 years. With a child who has autism and is blind, there's not a lot of curriculum or even information out there of how to educate them. Kayla understands everything you say, but she still has a communication barrier, and that's one of her biggest frustrations. When she wants to communicate and she can't, then it comes out in behavior. Her communication comes out in behavior. And that's why the last 3 years, they just didn't know what to do. And they didn't have the resources or even the opportunity to go find help for Kayla to help her break that communication barrier. So I look at this bill as an option for those situations that are very complex, to look at other options and ideas in educating these students.
I'm here today supporting the bill because, number one, I'm an occupational therapist. I worked in the school systems for I've been an occupational therapist for 20 years. I worked in the school system for 10 years. I've seen undesirable practices in the school system. As a parent of 3 children who are in a private school, I've seen the benefits of schools who want to educate students versus those that have to educate students. I am a friend of the parent, Jimmy Scott, whose mother was very involved in supporting this bill. And what I saw when Jimmy came to the school were natural friendships, natural supports, things happening that didn't require IEPs. In the public school system, you would have to write goals for these things to happen. In the private school setting, they naturally happen. I was thrilled to death. I was excited. I shedded a few tears with excitement just to think of all the possibilities that it means, not only for students but us as therapists, and what we can do to just naturally help children engage or participate in the classroom setting.